So the first question we're going to talk about today is we're not in a technology business. Why, as an owner of an equipment rental business, would I want to spend money on buying rental software? I mean, it can be a lot of money. I mean, depending what size of company you are, you could spend anywhere from 30, 40, up to thousands of dollars on a new equipment rental software system. And why should I spend that money on a software system when I could go out and buy one or more pieces of equipment that could actually generate revenue? And it's a really great question. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that over the years, but the answer to it might not be what you first think. And while you may not be in the information technology business, you are definitely in the customer service business. And these days, with the maturity of the systems that your competitors have, and just in general, and where artificial intelligence is going and everything else, you can't afford not to have the best possible information at your fingertips. And that information and having it readily available will allow you to provide the optimal customer service. Okay, and that's the biggest reason. It's not that you want to say, hey, I have all these fancy reports and everything else. The ultimate goal of that is to improve your customer service. So that's why you want to invest in one of these systems. It's not, so I can get my invoices out quicker. Yeah, that's important. We'll talk about that in the future system as well, or future video as well. But it's really so that I can provide superior customer service compared to my competitors for my customers in my chosen market. And maybe it gives me a chance to expand into other markets. There's just all kinds of reasons why you might want to do this. So one of the things you can do is there are options for keeping the costs of these systems down. And, people think about, if I'm going to implement a new accounting or ERP system, these things kind of sometimes get out of control and the costs just spiral. Well, there are offers out there, and they're often called packaged offers in our industry, and our company in particular offers them with that name. And what they do is they control the scope to say, hey, we know how your business works. We're going to give you a choice of what package of features you want, and we'll give you a fixed fee. And that's obviously you'd license that as many users as you need to access the system, but the actual cost of implementing the system will be fixed. And so what happens is customers want to control their costs. Partners such as ourselves want to actually get paid for the work we do. And the packaged offers, because there's more than one, actually allow you to pick the one that fits your business, and then both parties actually get what they want: control costs and getting paid for the work that we do. And so it's fast and it's simple, and it allows companies between $5 million and $1 billion to actually implement software that works for their business. So the second question is, our computer hardware is old and I don't want to replace it. Well, the interesting thing about the cloud software nowadays is that partners like Microsoft provide all these sophisticated data centers. And then what they do is they give you access to those data centers through browsers, web browsers. So it's not dependent on the speed of your server, whether you have a big database server or SQL Server running in-house or anything like that anymore. You don't have to have fast workstations that can crunch the data, because all that data is actually crunched primarily is all crunched really on the data centers. And so you take your choice of browser on your choice of device. So it can be a laptop, can be a desktop, can be a cell phone, can be a tablet, and you can access these systems through a web browser or web client that you've downloaded from, say, Microsoft or whoever, for your iOS or your Android or for your Microsoft mobile device. And you can use those to access the system. So when you go, maybe you've got 5-year-old computers sitting in your office and you got an old network. Well, the network just becomes a gateway to connect to the internet, because that's how your internet connection's attached. And you have these old machines, but all they got to be able to do is run Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Firefox. I mean, basically your choice of browsers. There might be some offbeat ones that don't work, but I don't know of any off the top of my head. And you can just access these browsers. And one of the advantages of that is that we've had customers where their network got shut down through ransomware, and they were able to take their mobile device, whether it was a smartphone or a laptop, connect it to their smartphone or as a hotspot, and they were able to connect right back to the data center and keep on operating, even though their whole network back in the office was completely shut down because of ransomware. So far, I'm not saying it's not theoretically possible, but I actually haven't heard of an instance of ransomware getting through the Microsoft hardware and software gateways that they have to actually infect these databases. So, it gives you a whole world of opportunity. You no longer have to hire expensive IT people. You don't have to go out buy expensive servers anymore. So you really do have the ability with a new system to take advantage of this cloud software, and you can scale the users up and down. So let's say that you've got a peak summer season that runs for 6 months of the year. Add 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 users for that 6 months. And at the end of the 6 months, you can just scale the users back down again. And for the rest of the year, you can operate with less users. It's just really a flexible opportunity that fits how your business works. Okay. So all you have to do with Microsoft, as an example, is you buy one user license and they immediately give you access to that data center. That's all you have to do, one user. And of course, you can add more users. But what I'm getting at is before you'd have to look at your network and say, okay, I have to have 20 users. Therefore, I need X amount of equipment. Well, what happens if my business grows to 40? Well, now I got to add more hardware. And how do I get up to 40? With Microsoft, you just say, hey, I had 20 users. I add 20 more for the summer. Microsoft on their end just scales up the speed of the data center, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. You'll still get the same speed everywhere. It's accessible anywhere. If you have a North American database, it's accessible easily anywhere in North America. If you're in Europe or somewhere worldwide, then you typically will connect to a different data center there and get better performance just because your internet connection isn't going so far. But anyway, lots of flexibility in these new cloud systems. So the third question I want to address is, how do I compete with large rental companies? Like, this is difficult. These guys have sophisticated systems. They got lots of money. And so you have the big three. You have United Rentals, you have Herc Rentals, and you have Sunbelt. And not necessarily in that order, depending on what area you are. But how do I compete with them? Well, there's a couple things to consider here. So one is those guys use large systems that are not necessarily the most flexible. So they're based upon the old technology. In some cases, they have them hosted now, so you can access them through a browser as well. But their systems don't tend to be that flexible. So if you go and sign up for, say, a Microsoft ERP-based equipment rental system like Business Central, then what's available to you is a very flexible system that can quickly respond to the needs of your client, your company, etc. So let's say you need to do manufacturing or assembly. Well, those rental systems for United and those guys, they don't do manufacturing. Okay, there's just a whole bunch of advanced features that are available to you if your business is more diverse than just a standard little box that you might think about. And having an ERP-based system gives you the ability to quickly respond to that. And not only that, but having an ERP-based rental system gives you 90% of the functionality of these systems or more, and it can be a lot simpler in some cases to actually implement them. And again, more flexible for the future. Your business grows, changes, these systems will respond. So changing systems to a non-traditional, so if you go through and you pick out the 5 systems that you're most likely heard of over the years, I won't name them on this video, but if you look at those traditional ones, they tend to put you in a box, and they're madly all trying to update their technology, to take advantage of new things like artificial intelligence and that. Whereas if you take an ERP-based one like Microsoft, well, guess who one of the major players is on artificial intelligence? Microsoft. All their databases, all their core ERP and accounting systems are all going to have access to business intelligence. They just keep pushing that envelope faster and faster and faster. And a lot of these traditional systems are really having trouble keeping up to those things. So just consider looking at an ERP-based equipment rental system.